What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you on Polestar. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what's still plaguing Polestar, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So Polestar currently is up 1.67%. Within the first 1 hour of the trading day, there is a hell of a lot of volatility. So 206 the low, 216 is the high. 417,000 shares being traded, 2.5 is the average. So despite today being a Friday, which normally has lower volume in general, we actually might be hitting the average, if not exceeding it today. And oddly enough, there has been no news from Polestar, no SEC filings, nothing like that. So it is just piggybacking off the broader market and its optimism, and especially with the data that's been coming out as of late. So today there was non-farm payroll, 216,000 versus the forecast of 170,000. I am going to play this quick video. It's about 1 minute long, but it does put it into perspective on how the market is now starting to truly look at the data. Over the last several days, there's been a give and take, or whatever you want to call it, because the data has been very strong, like I just said, but a lot of stocks, such as even what Polestar was right here, it was overdone. So overbought in many cases. So the broader market did need to pull back. That's what a lot of analysts were saying. But at the same time, data is strong. So you kind of have that give and take that's been occurring over the last little bit. So essentially now analysts switched back to being optimistic. So it's crazy, and they just flip-flop. They flip-flop more than Jim Cramer, which is absolutely crazy. Also on a side note, there has been no recent analyst ratings for Polestar, and the latest Morningstar report does show the fair market value for Polestar being $3.22. So that's kind of a positive thing. Do your guys' own due diligence, because I am not a financial advisor. So like I mentioned, I'm just going to quickly play this video and then I'll talk on some of the true data points behind the scenes.
Government employment report showing a gain of 216,000 new jobs last month. Futures were lower off that, yields higher, but actually that has unwound a little bit. You've seen the little bounce in the futures, and yields are off their highs, as maybe the number is not quite as hot as the headline makes it seem. Joining us to talk markets is Brenda Vingiello, Chief Investment Officer at Sandhill Global Advisors and a CNBC contributor. Brenda, good morning. So we came into this year, the market seemed pretty confident of a pretty idyllic soft landing scenario. How does this data feed into it, and what do you make of the market's rocky start to 2024?
Well, I do think, if we look at what this data and what it means, I think this continues to support a strong consumer, which in our view is really key to the economy maintaining its health as we move through the year. But I do think if we look at what happened during the fourth quarter of last year, it really was a stunning move across the board, both in equities and in yields. And I think we're just digesting here as we move into the new year. But I still think that the fundamentals should be relatively healthy if we look at earnings growth for this year. If we continue to have a strong economy, we have inflation that's easing. We also have an environment, I think, coming into this year where if you were a corporate CEO managing your business over the last couple of years, thinking there might be a recession just 6 months down the road, you're going to think about the world differently than if you suddenly think, well, actually, hey, maybe this may not be coming to fruition. We may actually have a decent economy here, and you potentially think about spending in a different way.
Yeah,
and that literally encumbers Polestar. Last several earnings, you can kind of tell that they've been hesitant about significant growth. Actually, I do believe even the Q2 earnings, they stated that exactly that they are anticipating a pullback, so they're trying to mitigate risk, cut expenses, and everything else. So in my opinion, data is still very strong as what this individual is saying. And yeah, bigger and better things might be coming for the broader market. Just it'll come down to earnings. As of yet, Polestar has not unveiled their Q4 earnings nor their numbers, so delivery or production numbers. Rivian came out, kind of shows some signs of demand issues. And then there's Tesla, they hit a home run. And so obviously in comparison, Tesla and Polestar, both of which are pure global EV plays. So Polestar in general, even though they cut their targets initially, I feel like they can easily hit a home run. And I've already done a full video on some expectations for 2024. So I feel like bigger and better things are going to come for Polestar. I personally feel at these prices, it should really incentivize a lot more long investors to get in, but that hasn't really been the case. So you don't really see a lot of abnormal buying that's been happening, a lot of algorithmic trading. And I think that's been the key thing for 2024. It's just a lot of AI is taking over as well. Retail investors are getting out for whatever reason. So I'm not really sure kind of the mentality based on that. So for instance, if you were one of those individuals that did sell Polestar, curious as to why, or were you maybe the small handful of individuals or retail investors that have been buying? So going over some data points. So of course, shorts have been in and out of Polestar. Currently 9% of the free float is being shorted. Cost to borrow average is getting a nice bump up in comparison to yesterday, so 18.75%. And right now shorts are returning about 50,000 shares. So I do feel like that's positive. And if you kind of break it down even further, with Polestar being green and shorts returning some shares, even though there's around 25,000 shares available to be shorted, kind of shows in the end that they feel like it's justified. So Polestar's overdue for a nice push up, in my opinion. But 22.1 million shares overall are being shorted. And some of the data points, like I said, within the first 1 hour of the trading day, currently about 4,500 in calls being purchased, 16,000 in puts. Sentiment wise though, 61% of all the options being done today is bullish. Of the call options that are being purchased, there is a anticipation for it to be above $3. So very optimistic. So like I said, clearly there's a consensus that Polestar is overdue for a nice bump up. And even more so if you do look at what has happened, Polestar didn't really participate in that year-end significant push higher. So that rally, if anything, it just went down, as crazy as that is. So you kind of see it just being stagnant right here, whereas a lot of other growth stocks, they went up a good about 15 to 20%, if not more from that. So this is where you're getting a lot of optimism. Puts though, you do see it below, or anticipate it to be below 250. So clearly within this range right here. But with that said, let's talk on some technicals. So with it currently at $2.13, it is between this S3 and this S2. So in comparison to a lot of other growth stocks, Polestar is lagging. 202 is going to be a very strong support that you'll really want to watch for it to hold. And it's crazy to think the broader market is rallying, a lot of stocks near the 52-week and all-time highs. Polestar is completely inverse and so close to their all-time low of $1.98. So it just, Polestar has been one of those, like, they have a very good fundamental business, just their stock just sucks. Plain as day. There's no other way to put it. Like, I don't know. It's very frustrating to own it and to even cover it on my channel as well, because I really do like the product, has a good product. They've been really investing in the right key attributes for their business. Just people don't like Polestar for whatever reason. I don't know. But $2.15 is going to be that next strong resistance. Bounced off of that, most likely it's going to be flirting with that for the rest of the day. And above that, 222, 235. The bad thing about all of this and some of the key points is it's very tight. So meaning like Polestar does need to hit a home run for it to get above all these resistance levels. So a lot of big walls ahead of Polestar. So it just needs to get the damn job done. Hopefully they don't mess up on their Q4 production and delivery numbers, because that would really be the attribute to cause it to go down and create a new 52-week and all-time low. So let me know your thoughts on Polestar. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing with Polestar? One final thing I just wanted to share with you. Take advantage of this promo. It has been extended up until January the 15th. So this is one of the best deals. Sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. Link in the description below and also the comments. So crazy stuff. For $100, you get 5 stocks. So take advantage of that while you can. But with all that said, I appreciate all of you watching.